Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapple Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today on the podcast, there is a new question that every employer in the coffee industry needs to be asking. It's the new benchmark for your success, and we're going to deep dive into it in just a second. Please consider subscribing to this podcast wherever you're listening to it, or if you're watching it on YouTube. Also, come check us out on Instagram at iMappItForward or at MappItForward Middle East. And thanks to our sponsor for this episode, the Coffee Roasters Mastermind Group. Check the show notes if you're interested in joining a mastermind group today. So, there's a new question in town. And this question comes courtesy of the first conversation that happened on the Map It Forward podcast very recently in Spanish. And this conversation was hosted by Melissa Flores, the fabulous Melissa Flores, who, when I said to her, who would you like to have a conversation with on this podcast? And she didn't hesitate. She said Jerry Smith Barrientos, who is a roaster and a cafe owner in Mexico City. Now, Melissa is a brilliant coffee professional that I mentor from Tijuana, Mexico. And a part of my mentorship is creating opportunities for the people that I mentor. And so Melissa she has knowledge and she has curiosity and she has charisma and she has a thirst for learning. Giving her the opportunity to host the very first episode in Spanish was one of the best decisions I think I've ever made for this podcast, because the conversation that happened between Melissa and Jerry Smith really got me thinking. Especially when Jerry Smith talks about a discussion that she was having with her husband, Carlos, after she had had a baby. And he asked her the question, do you think that our baristas could afford to have a baby on the salary that we pay them? And when I heard Jerry Smith and Melissa discuss this, it really helped me gain new insight into what the standard for success should be for our industry moving forward, given that we are in an intersectional moment in our history that's going to define whether we come out of this pandemic having learnt the lessons from our past, or whether we continue to make the mistakes of our past. And this question, could your employees afford to have a child on the salary that you pay them, should be the benchmark for success if we're measuring the culture and long-term viability of a business. And I have to congratulate Melissa and Jerry Smith for exploring this on the podcast. There's going to be a link in the show notes. Go check it out. We made sure that the translation is accurate so that you can read the subtitles if you don't speak Spanish. And the subtitles are translated into 10 different languages through YouTube. But go and check the episode out, because if we are looking at creating an industry, given the labor shortage that we have, if we're looking at creating an industry where small businesses can survive and attract staff, we have to convert our employee status to cultivating true professionals. And in order to attract and cultivate true professionals, we need to have a strategy that means that they have a vision of building security. And of course, it's a value exchange. It's an agreed upon strategy of coming into this business is you start at entry level, but we're expecting different things from you than we historically expected from baristas. Now we expect you to treat this job the same way that you would treat working in an office. The professionalism that you would bring to that kind of a job is what we require from you here. But also, we're going to help you know what that means. Now, that's going to create a significant workload for an employer. And for people to be able to afford to have children while working as a barista, that means an overhauling of what we're defining as barista. But I think we can do this. I think we should be doing this. I think that if we want to improve the viability of our industry and strengthen our value chain and supply chain, we can't afford not to do this. And it's not just for baristas and roasters. It's across the entire value chain. And I think this is the moment we need to start asking these questions. I'd love to know what you think. Please let me know in the show notes, or as you tend to do, send DMs and let me know what you think. But don't hesitate to let us know. And perhaps think about posing the question to your staff. Would this be something that they would be interested in? Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.